Hello everyone, you're welcome to another edition of the video media highlights of Timothy Generation right here at the Perez Dome, Jolly Johnson in Accra. My name is Smart Teacher Nixon. Let me run you through some things I took out of the just ended Supernatural Empowerment Summit. Well, people, the Supernatural Empowerment Summit took place right here at the Perez Dome, hosted by Right Reverend Bishop Charles Agyinasare, and it was very, very wonderful with seasoned speakers coming through. The bishop spoke on numerous of stuff, but the program started with Reverend Sam Crunchy Anchor from Royal House Chapel International speaking about the power of sowing. And you know, he talked about the atmosphere of worship. One of the best places you can sow your seed or give an offering is in an atmosphere of worship. In the previous weeks, we have learned from Reverend Dr. Selassie Agyinasare that the best place to give is in the atmosphere of worship. It is also an act of worship whenever you give or sow your seed. And so let us bear in mind that as Christians, as we go through life expecting that breakthrough and the miracle, we have to be sensitive to the Spirit of God. And in that atmosphere of worship where you want to lay it all before God, make sure that there is a sacrifice on the altar. Yes, and also the bishop spoke about God blesses you, He takes you, He breaks you, and then He gives you. That was the sermon that just got me thinking. The part where the bishop talked about God breaking you, he spoke about our pride. There is a place where we get to where we need to give all reverence to God because He alone is the King. He alone is the Master. Some of us are too full of ourselves that we do not even give God the chance to be the Lord and the King of our lives. We must get to the place where God breaks us. God breaks everyone before He uses them. And it goes to reiterate a book that I read by Zach Punin, where he says that you can only be shared when you are broken. So when Jesus lifted up the bread in the face of the 5,000 people, He broke it and He shared it. For God to use you mightily in the kingdom, then you have to be broken. He has to cut you so deep, and so you can go on your knees and recognize there is none greater but He alone. So there we go again. The third thing that I learned was from the man all the way from Zimbabwe, Bishop Tudor Bismarck. He spoke about the power at midnight. What a sermon that day. He talked about the fact that there is so much power and there is exchange of destinies at midnight. And so if you're a Christian and you really want to wrestle in the spiritual realm, you do not have to take the midnight for granted. That is the time you need to rise, pray, petition God with all your needs, because these two prostitutes who brought their case before King Solomon, the babies were exchanged at midnight. At midnight, a lot of things happen, and you cannot begin to fathom all the spiritual activities that go on between principalities, orders of darkness, and the powers that be. And as a Christian, if you really want to walk the corridors of power, if you want to control things in life, you do not have to take your midnight for granted. Let us all rise and fight the battle in the spirit, because the flesh can only manifest what we have already dealt with in spirit. And how can we all forget about Pastor Ayo coming all the way from Nigeria to bless us with that spiritual word, talking about who touched me. We're all in church for various reasons, but of course with some, they come with the power of faith and determination, and with their persistence they look to touch the garment of Christ. And Jesus walked through multitudes. Can you imagine Jesus walking through the whole service and everybody touching Him in their own way? Some want to just feel Him, some just touch Him mistakenly, some just want to know whether He is truly the Christ, but others come to church to touch Him and feel Him so that they can have their healing and their miracle. My question was, what mindset do I come to church with? Am I looking to just be a part of Christendom? Am I touching Jesus to feel Him, to know whether He is real? Or I'm coming with a persistent spirit, with a believing heart, and also with the power of faith, hoping that things will change for me? Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Have you touched Jesus? And has your life really changed? And yes, Saturday was the day of anointing. Everyone was anointed for greater exploits. Bishop showed a video of a young man who had stayed in his ministry, tapped into the anointing, and is doing great works in the Western region. And this young man, Reverend Emmanuel, who I have met too, has this great love for mission work, crusade, and for church planting as well. And this man has tapped into Bishop's anointing. The question is, if we are home right here with the Bishop, how many of us have really tapped into the anointing of the Bishop? The Bishop educated all and sundry about the power of the anointing, and he said it is the anointing that makes the difference. We must understand that when oil is placed there and it's not being in use, it dries up. And as ministers of God, as we go around doing the work of God and using the anointing, at a point in time we get tired, we get exhausted, and the oil dries up. But we have to always come back for refueling. Just like every car, when you put the oil in the car, you use it for a while. At a point, you need to refuel so that you can do the things that you need to do. And petrol, diesel, is put in the car for friction. It generates heat in the system for the engine to function. And so the oil that we have as Christians, it generates the heat that we need, the fire we need to burn on the inside so we can step out to do great works for the kingdom. So today, you better anoint yourself, because this year is going to be full of growth and increase. Taking into consideration with the Spirit-filled week and all what the men of God have blessed us with, I can assure you that if we stick to these principles, the values, and all that we have been taught, committing to it daily in our devotions, we will thrive and not just survive in this year of growth and increase. I don't know about you, but this year would not end with me just surviving the year. I am going to thrive, and I would see growth and increase on every side. And just like Apostle Agyinasare said, God does miracles, but it is based on principles. Take your principles serious. Have a very blessed week.